we are going to discuss about how we can probe the molecules with the help of various spectroscopic analytical techniques. I felt this topic is very important as the full potential of various spectroscopy techniques have not yet uh, been fully utilized by the teachers as well as the researchers who are using these techniques routinely. Okay, and suppose if we any person or any researcher synthesizes a compound, he has to determine the structure. And he has to determine the structure, he has to ask himself a variety of questions about those compounds. Uh, what is that compound consists of? Is it already a known compound or is it something a new compound? Okay, is it a pure compound or is it something impure? It contains some impurities. Then what is the functional group that is present in that compound? And what is its composition and molecular weight? So this regularly we teach to the students that we ask numericals many a times on the composition and the molecular weight of these compounds and how the functional groups are linked together, you know, and what is the molecular symmetry, what are the bond lengths and bond angles, and what is its electronic structure. To gather information on all these things, we stumbled upon a variety of spectroscopic techniques, and we shall be discussing extensively on all those things in this lecture, which consists of three segments: segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3. So, before addressing these things, I am going to take the tool of symmetry to apply the spectroscopy. So I'm going to apply the principles of symmetry to apply and to understand how one can determine the structure with the help of symmetry and through spectroscopy. Symmetry, as you know, is all around us, and that actually gives a wonderful, pleasant uh, meaning to any object, and it is a fundamental property of the nature. You can see even a fan blade is made symmetric. Even cockroaches, if you look at their, you know, uh, organization, it is symmetric. Even leaves, you know, which some of us we think that they don't have life, but they also grow in a symmetric way. And therefore, nature has taught us that understanding symmetry and applying it to determine the structure is going to be extremely important to understand the structure. Okay? And when we say symmetry, then we have been introduced or we have to introduce to the students two things, that is symmetry operations and symmetry elements. Meaning, symmetry operation is symmetry element is like the scissors, and symmetry operation is like the cutting. So, it's like what are all the different symmetry operations, and for performing those symmetry operations, what is the symmetry element that one is going to choose. And if you see very carefully, we have chosen all these different symmetry elements in such a way to cover the entire three-dimensional space. As you know, the structure of a molecule can be described in a three-dimensional arrangement. So, any symmetry element, a combination of symmetry elements, should cover the three dimensions or the three directions. So, what is the first symmetry operation? Is the reflection. Reflection is a two-dimensional operation. That means it operates in two dimensions. You can have xy plane, yz plane, zx plane. And generally, the symmetry element that is used is the plane of reflection. And we distinguish the planes in three different fashions. Horizontal plane, which is represented by sigma h, vertical plane, which is represented by sigma b, and dihedral plane, which is represented by sigma d. And then following which we have rotation axis. Rotation axis is represented by the symbol capital C suffix small n. That is, this is the axis of rotation. The axis of rotation can be principal and non-principal. Okay. Principal axis is the highest fold axis, that is the axis of rotation that is present in a molecule. The number of non-principal, or sometimes in some books they refer to as the secondary axis, is equal to n. So this also one should keep in mind when trying to understand a molecule from the perspective of symmetry operations and symmetry elements. Then comes the improper rotation. So what do you mean by the improper rotation? It is designated by the symbol capital S suffix small n. That is a rotation followed by a reflection. Okay, let us look at all these things pictorially in the coming slides, and I can explain more on that in the respective slides. Next comes the symmetry operation, inversion. You can just try to invert a molecule, and if it passes through the center, then it is called as the center of inversion. Okay. It is represented by the symbol small I, and last is the identity, that is E itself, do nothing. Okay. Let us take, as we are dealing with the chemistry, let us take, because the symmetry operations and symmetry elements can be approached from many different perspectives, including physicists also can take this and make use of it for their purposes, but we will try to understand. So, how we are going to apply to the chemistry? With the help of all these symmetry elements and symmetry operations, we classify the molecules and group them, and that is called as a point group. That is, molecules with similar symmetry or into the same point group. Okay. A point group contains all objects that have the same symmetry elements. Okay. And this is what we saw, the symmetry elements. So let us look at exactly how it is being done. And element, I have listed here the symmetry element, symmetry operation, and the symbol. Identity is doing nothing, and therefore I am not giving any details about it. And in the element rotation, n-fold axis is there. That is, you have to rotate the molecule by 2 pi by n. And as I told you in the initial slide, it is denoted by Cn. And mirror plane reflection, sigma, so that is a 2-dimension. And center of inversion, that is a point, and I. So if you see very carefully, okay, next we will see n-fold axis of improper rotation, that is rotation by 2 pi by n followed by reflection perpendicular to the axis of rotation, Sn. So a molecule is present in 3 dimensions, I mean 3-dimensional space. The molecule is present in the 3-dimensional space, and therefore if you want to really understand the structure of the molecule, then you have to make use of these elements. For example, center of inversion, that is a point, so that is considered to be a 0-dimension. And n-fold axis, that is considered to be 1-dimension. And plane reflection using a plane, that is a 2-dimension. So if you add 0 plus 1 plus 2, you are getting information about the presence of atoms and the structure of the molecule in the entire 3-dimensional space. And therefore, all these symmetry elements, when you perform the symmetry operations on a particular molecule, give the information about the position of the atoms that are present in the 3-dimensional space. Okay. What is exactly the n-fold rotation? Let us take the example of water molecule. Water molecule has a 2-fold axis of rotation. What do you mean by that? It is a C2. That means 2 pi. 2 pi is 360 divided by 2 is 180 degrees. That means when you rotate 180 degrees, the hydrogen atoms trade places, but the molecule will look exactly the same. That means what is symmetry? Symmetry means after performing a symmetry operation, it should look as if you haven't done anything to the molecule. It should look the same. And that's what we are seeing. So this is the 2-dimensional axis of, 2-fold axis that we show it in this slide for the water molecule. N-fold axis of rotation, we can little move on to the C3 axis of rotation. We just saw C2 axis and we shall move to the C3. To understand this, we are taking ammonia molecule. Ammonia molecule has a C3 axis. And is there only one C3 axis that is present? No, there is one more that is present. So ammonia has one C3 axis, which you can consider it as the principal axis, and 2 more C3 axes are present in that. So C3 means it is 2 pi by n, that is 2 into 180 degrees, that is 360 degrees, divided by n, 120 degrees. So you have to rotate the molecule by 120 degrees in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction, provide 2 orientations of the molecule. That means you can see if you are going to keep performing one direction clockwise, we give C3 plus. That means it is progressing. Sometimes if you do the rotation in counterclockwise, then we say it is counterclockwise, and we assign the symbol, it is C3 minus. Okay. So in any of these symmetry operations, you are going to have the molecule in a configuration which you will not be able to distinguish from the beginning, and therefore that is the purpose of understanding this molecule. Okay. If I rotate the molecule, do I see any difference or not? If I reflect the molecule, do I see any difference or not? If I invert the molecule, do I see a difference or not? If I am doing rotation followed by reflection, Do I see a difference or not? So if you do all these things, you cover all the three dimensions in the space and you will get all the information about the structure of the molecule. Now let us look at the mirror plane. Mirror plane, as I told you, it is a two-dimensional thing. And sigma V, let us look at that. V means vertical, H means horizontal. So sigma H means horizontal, V means vertical, and sigma D means dihedral. Dihedral means it is angle. So dihedral, it is cutting an angle into two halves. So sigma D is that. So the reflection of the water molecule is in either one of the two mirror plane results in a molecule that looks unchanged. And therefore, I have given here the way that you can operate the mirror plane symmetry operation in water molecule, right? So the subscript V in sigma V indicates vertical plane of symmetry. This indicates that the mirror plane includes the principal axis of rotation. Okay, and next is, let us take the example of benzene for the students to understand. If you can give the example of benzene, and that will be very much appreciated. So the benzene ring has a C6 axis as its principal axis of rotation. What is C6? 360 divided by 6 is equal to 60 degrees. And if you rotate every 60 degrees, then you get a structure of the benzene which is indistinguishable from the starting point. So the molecular plane is perpendicular to the C6 axis and is designated as a horizontal plane. Sometimes we call this as I have written in this slide, molecular plane. Horizontal plane, sometimes if it is a planar molecule, we consider it to be the molecular plane. So I have shown what is the sigma V that is present in this and what is the sigma D. The sigma D is crossing through two bonds between carbon and carbon, and sigma H is present in the molecule, on the molecule, that is it's a planar molecule, and sigma V is crossing through two carbon atoms which are not connected. So if the plane is bisecting a carbon-carbon bond, then it is sigma D, and if it is going through two carbons which are not connected in benzene, it is sigma V, and if it is in the molecular plane, then it is a sigma H. But one point which you must pay attention here is all these symmetry operations, including C6, the axis of the symmetry C6, the sigma V, the sigma D, everything passes through a point. You can see it, which is at the center of gravity, and therefore we call these groups as point groups. That is the point groups which are made out of the symmetry elements consisting of the symmetry operations present in a molecule. The vertical planes go through the carbon atoms and include the C6 axis. The planes that bisect the bonds are called as the dihedral planes. This I have explained to you in the initial slide itself. And how to visualize, the different principal axes, different axes of rotations that are present in benzene. So C6, I have marked here, C6, that is when it is present in the nucleus, that can be a C6, and that is our principal axis. Why we call that as a principal axis? A principal axis is one which should go through, or which should involve a large number of atoms that are present in the molecule. We are not doing C6 using some other axis of rotation, we are using the C6 in which all the 6 carbon atoms are involved. So C6 happens to be the principal axis in benzene, and then we do show the C2 axis that passes through vertically through the carbon atoms, and then there is also a C2 axis which passes through two carbon-carbon bonds, and there is also a C6 and sigma H that I have shown here, and the C6 principal axis, and then that is perpendicular to the planes which are perpendicular to the C6 axis I have shown in this slide. Now, let us take one more example and get ourselves familiarized with all these different symmetry operations, which we will be using it to understand the spectroscopy that are present in the spectroscopy of these molecules in order to determine their structure. So, rotational axis and mirror planes of boron trifluoride. Boron trifluoride, for your information, it is a planar molecule, and boron trifluoride I have drawn it, and it is C3 is the principal axis, and in addition to the C3, as I told you at the beginning, you will have the non-principal or the secondary axis which is equivalent to the N. So C3, and therefore you will have 3 C2 axes. And I have also indicated where the sigma B is present in this. I have also indicated where the sigma H that is present in this molecule. Different types of sigma H that are present, and different types of sigma B that are present in this molecule. And so even the point of inversion, there is no center of inversion in this molecule, and therefore we have not mentioned that. So in order to understand the inversion, I am just taking an example of an octahedral geometry, and that is the center of gravity, as I told you, which is present at the center. The inversion operation projects each atom through the center of inversion and across the other side of the molecule. That means I have just taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if you see the inverted molecule, then they exchange their places. That is, if you see very carefully, 1 exchanges its place with 6, 3 exchanges its place with 5, 2 exchange its place with 4. So that is exactly what I mean as an inversion. It is not that only I interchange 1 with 6, it is also I interchange 3 with 5 and 2 with 4. Okay, that is exactly the meaning of inversion. Okay, now let us try to understand with the help of a molecule what is this improper rotation, exactly what is to be done. An improper rotation is a rotation followed by a reflection in a plane perpendicular to the axis of rotation. It is almost covering the 3 dimensions because rotation is a unidirectional and the reflection is a 2-dimensional. So 1 plus 2 is equal to 3 dimensions. And therefore, we don't have any symmetry elements which can really give the 4th dimensions, because till now we deal with only 3 dimensions, and at the maximum we will be having few more symmetry elements such as the screw axis or glide plane. That means these are all screw axis and glide plane are rotation combined with translation, and glide plane means reflection followed by the translation in order to understand the entire 3-dimensional space. But now let us focus on the improper rotation. Improper rotation, I have just taken a molecule A, B, C, D. This is very famous, quite easy to understand molecule. This is the methane that we teach to the students. And you do a C4 axis of rotation, and how the molecule is transforming. You can see that and then the axis that you are doing, you have to reflect it in a plane perpendicular to that, and therefore you get a configuration which is quite similar to the the tetrahedral configuration that you started. I'm taking one more example for the improper rotation. If you consider the staggered conformation of ethane, it has a S6 axis that goes through both the carbon atoms, right? And what is that exactly? That means it is S6. That means it is C6 and sigma H. Okay. Okay. We should also bear in mind improper axis of rotation. There is no S1 axis, okay? It is the same as a mirror plane, because as you know, S1 axis doesn't exist. It is same as a mirror plane. And S2 axis likewise, it is the center of inversion. Okay, that is rotation followed by a reflection, that is S2 axis is equivalent to I, and therefore you can rule out the possibilities of S1 and S2. Okay, and let me start my first segment of the lecture, and let us continue the lecture in the second segment.